Hello and welcome to Season 4 of Smart Money, brought to you by PPS Investments. Well, operating since 2004, 361 has been around for 2 decades now. It was founded by Cy Jacobs, and today we're doing a bit of a company profile with the co-founder and CEO himself. Cy, good to have you with us. So right at the top, I guess, what inspired you to found 361? And more than that, a differently positioned asset manager with a focus on hedge funds in particular?
Yeah, good morning, Alicia, and thank you very much for inviting me to speak today. Look, I think 361 has had a long journey. At the outset, myself and my partner worked for big organizations, both HSBC and Investec, and I think we were quite tired with bureaucracy, meetings that had nothing to do with asset management, and we just loved what we did, is managing money in the markets, and that's what we wanted to do. And we set out, the two of us, some 20 years ago with one thing in mind: don't overcomplicate a business, but rather just stick to the basics and do what we love, is focusing on the market. And that's what we've done. Over 20 years, we've only had 24 people join our organization. So the assets have grown nicely, but the staff complements remain small, flat. Nobody has any titles, and we all work as one, call it one big happy family.
So is that your key differentiator, the fact that you're uncomplicated? I mean, what would you say sets 361 apart from other asset managers?
So I think, first of all, it's the team. So we've handpicked those 24 people over the 20-year period, and we would think that we have some exceptional skills, some differentiating skills. And we remain very small relative to many of our big counterparts who remain nameless, who manage hundreds of billions of rands. And as a result, we remain flexible. We've always never tried to box ourselves in any one investment style. And as a result, we've managed over the 20-year period to pretty much outperform most of our competitors, probably, I would say, close to all of our competitors. And that's what we're about. We're about performance in the markets, depending on which mandate you're invested in. And hopefully we've done the job on behalf of our clients.
It's that outperformance line that I'm sure has gotten our audience, or our viewers' ears and attention, peaked. With that in mind, let's talk track record. To what extent has your approach and, the main products 361 offers paid off? Can you put some concrete stuff on the table for us?
Sure. So over the 20 years, we've obviously had continually good performance. I think if you look over the entire 20-year track record, obviously we show significant outperformance against the market. I think more importantly, across all our South African mandates, whether it be balanced funds, which we manage quite significant amounts of, or SA equity funds, primarily on SA equity investments, or general equity, or in fact hedge funds, we are generally way ahead of our counterparties or our competition, and more importantly, against the benchmarks, because as you know, institutions measure their performance against benchmarks, and we like to know that we can outperform those benchmarks not only over a long period of time, but consistently over all periods.
So, I've got to ask you, what's your response to those who maintain that hedge funds are speculative, that positions aren't based on fundamental research?
Yeah, I think people who say that about hedge funds really don't have much of an understanding. It is understandable, however, looking at the global definition of hedge funds. A hedge fund could do very much anything. However, in South Africa, the range that hedge funds are allowed to participate in is a far more conservative range than, in fact, a normal equity fund. Hedge funds are there to protect your capital and to gain a reasonable amount in good markets. And if you look at our hedge fund in particular, it is our lowest risk mandate that we offer. In fact, our balanced funds, our equity funds, our SA equity funds, etc., all carry far more risk than our hedge funds. Our hedge funds are there to participate in good markets and protect the capital throughout the investment structure or cycle.
Okay, so it's been, a 20-year journey. If we put those performance track records aside for a minute, in getting to this point, what stands out for you as some of your biggest highlights?
I think I always enjoy winning mandates. So, I think over the years, and I obviously can't name the clients, but many listed companies or even, in fact, some global companies have mandates with us. And it's always rewarding when you're up against, 5 or 10 rather large asset managers to come out and win the mandate, whether it be, in these days, the mandate sizes are 1 billion or 2 billion or larger. And we're just very, very delighted at 361 when we've gone up against this major competition, these monolithic institutions, and the mandate's been awarded to 361 based on, clients' understanding how well we've done in the markets and how we're able to perform. And I think for us, that's kudos and a stamp for what we've done over the 20-year period.
Absolutely. And we can name one, right? Because you are the portfolio manager of the PPS fund, a managed fund, which you run in partnership with PPS. Talk us through how that happened.
Yeah, so I think PPS we've always had meetings over the years with PPS, even before they awarded us the mandate of their balanced fund, and I think more recently awarded us also their SA equity fund as well, or portions of that. I think they recognize the excellence in the team. We also had run a flexible fund, which is very much like the PPS managed fund, for some 16 years odd before PPS approached us. They noted our performance, structure, and our ability to continue seek out profitable ideas in the funds, with at the same time very much having a capital protection mindset, so that all investors could sleep at night knowing their capital was safe and getting a reasonable return.
And like you say, I mean, there's been this growing momentum over the years, because it's the fourth quarter of last year that saw 361 being appointed as an asset manager for the PPS equity fund that you mentioned there. You talk about what you bring to the table for PPS and what they've identified. What does this opportunity now open up for you?
Well, I think for us, it just continues along the 361 journey. We've had many partnerships along the way, and PPS are a very professional organization, who do their due diligence properly. And I think we're very impressed with our performance in the balanced category and the balanced fund over the last 5 or so years, and recognize that particularly in the SA equity space, that 361 has produced the most alpha. Call that, that's performance above the benchmark. So the most alpha above the benchmark consistently in South Africa against any other asset manager in the country. So over the past 5 years, relative to the benchmark, we have been, luckily or skillfully the best. And PPS recognized that and is now partnering us not only on the balance space, but in the SA equity space, which is again, fantastic, and one of the big rewards we get from putting in all the work over the 20-year period.
Well, bottom line, to leverage off any opportunity properly, you've got to be cognizant of the playing field, right? So what are the biggest trends you're keeping an eye on as a South African investment professional right now?
Right now, our biggest challenge is obviously trying to understand which poll is correct. Because we've got a very big election, probably the biggest election we've seen since 1994, with the ANC potentially losing, that key 50% stronghold. And who is that coalition going to be with? And it's trying to understand, to read the polls, to understand what's going on, and to make our own judgment on what will happen later this year. And at the same time, understanding the valuation we see in our underlying market, the underlying liquidity, and forging forward in the best opportunities we can find, given the circumstances we find ourselves in South Africa.
Absolutely. Sy, let's leave it there. Thanks so much for the chat today. Sy Jacobs is, of course, co-founder and CEO of 361 Asset Management.